We're here at the Mobile World Congress on the final day in Barcelona, and I'm lucky enough to have an opportunity to talk to David Nowicki, who is the Vice President Product Management and Marketing for Airvana. Thanks a lot for spending a few minutes with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Now we're just talking about what we're doing here being a little bit more personal profiling type approach. So with that vein, what's your background that's led into this current position with Airvana?
So I've actually been in wireless data since the early 90s, and data has kind of grown over the times from very low speed to much more high speed now, to where mobile broadband is big and mobile internet is big, surfing on a handset and so forth. So every company that I've worked for has always been companies that have been working on making wireless networks more efficient for the delivery of data. And that's one of the big reasons I came to Airvana 2 years ago, was really for the purposes of, I believe that the femtocell, which is what Airvana does, they started actually in the macro area, but now are in the femto area. I believe it's really an alternative and much better way to build a network. It's very complementary to the macro cell. It's really a sort of perfect way of building out coverage and capacity, because you're putting the coverage exactly where the source is.
And where were you before Airvana?
Before Airvana, I was at Byte Mobile.
Right.
Byte Mobile was a company actually out in Silicon Valley. So I actually moved out to the Boston area as a result of joining Airvana. I was there for 5 years, and that was a company that was all about speeding up applications over wireless data. So they were speeding up, let's say, laptop PC connections, as well as handset connections and so forth, as well as adapting content to a mobile phone. So making it effectively much easier to surf the internet and so forth.
And then back a step before that?
Back a step before that, I was with a company called Arraycom.
Yeah.
I was there for 8 years, and that company, in fact, in all this time I've been doing product management and marketing.
Right.
At Arraycom, we actually started out building what was called smart antenna software. Way back in sort of mid 90s, when it was just really starting, and that was really great software inside of a base station that would make communications very efficient. It's actually quite related to the femtocell. One was using sort of software to focus beams in certain directions, and the femtocell is more about putting the base station right where it needs to be. So it's all been about the delivery of wireless networks over this time. Arraycom then went on to do some work in kind of this booming area of 4G, actually in the late 90s, when it all sort of got started, before it's now crystallizing today.
Okay, and you would have been coming into the femtocell area when it was bubbling away, and now it's maturing. Now it's really about to go to market. So I guess for the time you've been in there, it's looking like it's maturing.
Yeah.
How have the challenges changed during that period?
Well, so I joined Airvana 2 years ago, and really at that time, the femto forum hadn't really started yet, and there wasn't really an industry that was behind things, and you hadn't really sort of recognized the femtocell as a critical ingredient. People were still saying things like, "Is it going to work?" They were saying things like, "Hey, is there a business case for this?" and so forth, right? And now what we're seeing is that operators are actually running trials. Operators are doing soft launches. Some, such as Sprint and StarHub and so forth, have actually gone commercial. We've seen a bunch of announcements here at the show, T-Mobile, Vodafone, and so forth, talking about deployments of femtocells. And so it's become much more real. And one of the things that's actually been very nice has been the collaboration in the femto forum is actually something that I've never seen before, where 100 companies come together and they're really collaborating on standards, collaborating on the business case, and really able to grow this ecosystem into something that will become just an integral part of the industry.
Well, the interesting thing for me in what you're doing, and it must have been an early grasp for you, is it's something you can actually see and touch.
Yes.
Like you've got one beside you.
Right.
So you can see the thing, you can touch it. Just about everybody you must speak to wants one in their house and says, well, why can't I have one now?
Exactly.
So,
no.
So you're missing a whole lot of the normal challenges of.
So it's probably the first time that I've ever actually been able to explain to my friends that aren't in the industry what I do. Whenever I told them about something like smart antenna software or something, they looked at
glaze
me.
Over.
Yeah. Or if I talked to them about speeding up wireless data applications, they would say, back then they would say, why would anybody ever surf the internet over a phone, right? So it's very hard to always describe. But now when I talk to somebody about a femtocell, whether it's sitting on a plane or wherever it is, you're exactly right. They say,
"Give
me
a proper
one.
job. I understand what you do."
Yeah. So there's a lot of demand. In fact, whenever we have any sort of news article about our company, what ends up happening is a bunch of consumers start calling our company and saying, can you send me one? They'd like it to work with all operators and so forth. And the hard part of that, answering that question, is no, I'm sorry, you have to wait to buy it in your Vodafone shop or in your favorite operator shop.
So you're working for Airvana because you think it's the best in the industry, obviously. So what's the differentiator with Airvana and everybody else?
It is a crowded area. There is a lot of competition, and I think that's terrific because I think operators, in fact, are looking for multiple sources of supply. Operators don't want to have just one vendor, for example. So that's why I was talking about the femtoforum and so forth. The reason that they might, choose Airvana over another competitor, the reason why we might have a lead in the area. Number one, we've been doing base stations and networks and so forth now for 9 years as a company. We're a larger company than many of the competitors that we're working with. And we've sort of done the design from the ground up. So we have control over the entire design of the femtocell, no dependencies on any other, let's say, providers of components and so forth. And that gives us the ability to customize the solution ultimately for the operator's needs. And you have to remember that, I'm excited about this being a consumer product, and the fact that I can touch it and so forth, and there's the whole consumer element to it. At the same time, it's part of the network, it's part of the RAN. So you have to remember that the fact is the RAN is always changing and evolving, and there's always new upgrades and so forth. So this is also a dynamic product in that respect as well. So you need the proper expertise to be able to deliver this into the market, properly update it, and properly work with the operator.
What's your biggest challenge at the moment? I think in executing your job.
In executing my job, I think that our most interesting thing is the differences in the approaches from region to region. So for example, in Asia right now, we're just trying to keep up, meaning that demand is so strong that it's all about execution. One operator goes and then all the other operators go at the same time in a particular country. Japan's a good example, Singapore's a good example, Taiwan, China, really hot right now. And there's no conversation about business case, there's no conversation about any particular element, they're just going. In North America, the same thing has occurred, because of Sprint, because of Verizon, AT&T, even T-Mobile has a Wi-Fi solution. All those companies are out there and doing things, so it's just a matter of how fast can you execute. In Europe, the challenge seems to be that no one operator has had a big launch yet, causing the other ones to go and so forth. So there's much more discussion about when are you going to have the standards-based product, when are you going to have the business case prepared, can I study the business case in more detail. There's just a little bit more analysis going on right now in Europe, and I think that so that's what we as an industry and as a company are working toward.
Okay, how's Barcelona been for you this year?
Oh, it's terrific. I think that some people were talking about it being a down year, but from our vantage point, we have a booth out on the avenue in front of Hall 8, and we've had very, very heavy traffic in that particular area. I think people like being outside in the open air and so forth. But it's been an exciting year. I think that there's a lot of still a lot more talk perhaps about LTE than I was expecting. I was thinking that, given the downturn and so forth, LTE might be something that people are looking at. Oh, this is a very big expense. Is it going to come into the market, in any time soon? But there actually were some announcements about, it speeding up and so forth, which was surprising to me. So that shows me that the industry must be, healthier than perhaps a lot of people are reporting. Also, I think that being in a space like the femtocell, which is an exciting area, this is a way that you can take your 3G network that you've made a lot of investment in already, and you can help to patch this and help to evolve that network, make it much stronger, and get much more return out of the investment in the network. So I also think it's a good technology to help, let's say, reduce costs in building a network.
Okay, well, it's brilliant you've taken the time. Much appreciated, David.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with the business.
Nice to meet you.